This is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, I just came here to follow up on that Supreme Court decision. It's being talked about all over broadcast and social media. And if I may take the liberty to do so, I want to encourage Black people not to pay attention to these talking heads on television, because they're all talking about how horrible it is. Woe is me. Chicken Little screaming the sky is falling because they ended affirmative action in these PWI schools. Too many Black men are crying about how horrible it is, even as they claim that white women benefited more from affirmative action than Black people did. So what are we crying about? White women are not crying all over television about the end of affirmative action. They're saying how awful it is for Black people. They don't see this as a loss for them because they know there are other ways to succeed in life besides going to Harvard. The Latinos are not crying about it, and they keep saying Black and Latino people, but they're not out there crying about it. It's Black people, and mostly Black men. It's weak, and it's giving, "Oh, Massa, you did it to me again," as if they expected something different. This has been coming on for a long time, and we all know it. Even the president of Howard University, who should be glad because he says he's looking for an influx of students because of this, and hopefully he will have an influx of students. He was out here talking about how horrible this was and how this was going to be a setback to the Black community. He even referenced the number of Black doctors there were in 1978, I believe that was the year, versus 2023, and he's going to blame that on white people as opposed to Black people not being interested in going to med or dental school or not applying themselves so they can be accepted in some of these schools. In addition to the fact that there are 5 Black medical schools in the United States and PWIs that Black medical students attend. So I mean, this is ridiculous, and it's embarrassing. It is horrible that they would end a program that was designed to help the descendants of people who had been enslaved and had gone through a Jim Crow system, which was a second slavery, for so many years, for hundreds of years. So it's horrible in the way that they don't ever intend to rectify what was done to Black people. And so they've looked for every avenue to end anything that was designed to specifically help us. Yes, in that respect, it's horrible. But by now, we should have grown up and know we're not dealing with honest people. Furthermore, there is a fundamental dysfunction in many European people. Deep within themselves, I don't believe they think they're enough, and they will never have enough as long as they think we have anything. If we have it, somehow we took it from them. They deserve it. There is something dysfunctional about people who think like that. So we actually have to rise above their thinking if we want to be whole and healthy. So for those who are grasping at the affirmative action straws, there is hope for you. Listen to what the Chief Justice said. Nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise. But despite the dissent's assertion to the contrary, universities may not simply establish through application essays or other means the regime we hold unlawful today. So in other words, the only way you can use race is how we say you use race, not just because you say you're Black. That's really what he's saying. So Massa, in the person of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, has given us our directive. If you want to use race, you can use race, but only the way I say you can use it. It's almost as if some of us don't even know what pride looks like. It looks like you are constantly going back to the trough, begging for slop. There are so many more avenues for Black Americans to succeed. I believe that America likes to see black people suffering. They like to see us hurting. But instead of us staring it down, we lean into it. Oh, they took away affirmative action. This is going to do damage for us for the next 100 years. Why can't we ever say, oh, well, we don't want our children to go to Harvard anyway. It's not culturally beneficial to them to go to a school like Harvard where most of the students got in on legacy or because somebody paid money for them to get in. How come we can't ever take that attitude? We'll talk about the legacies and talk about how unfair they are, but we can't ever use it in a conversation that makes it look like we have a nickel's worth of common sense. My mother had a friend, and her friend was overweight. And people were always telling her, oh, how much bigger you going to get? You're so big. How much bigger you going to get? So one day somebody asked her, well, how much bigger you going to get? You're just so big. And she said, well, you should have seen me yesterday. I was twice times bigger than this. So, we don't ever have a comeback. All we know how to do is beg. Booker T. Washington and the Dallas County community built Tuskegee Institute in 1881, and that school is still going strong. All it needs is funding. We have perfectly good HBCU schools. All they need is funding. And the problem with HBCUs is that they will employ somebody to do a job and they don't know how to do it. For instance, if you're supposed to be a fundraiser for the school, then you're supposed to be a fundraiser for the school. You have to get out there with people with money. Booker T. Washington was all up in the Northeast going door to door asking for money for Tuskegee Institute. And some of those donors are still giving money. The descendants of some of those donors are still giving money to Tuskegee Institute. These so-called black millionaires and sometimes billionaires are just throwing away money in strip clubs and buying cars and jewelry. I don't think we know how to activate the resource. A lot of people would give if they knew who to give it to, where to send it to, and what it was going to be for. But I don't believe that black colleges, I don't believe that HBCUs do a good enough job of recruiting donors for the institutions, still relying on white people to give, especially with these private institutions, but never activate the resource within the community. In these communities where these HBCUs are, I don't ever hear about a fundraiser, even with the black churches, where you could ask to give, to that college for one Sunday out of the year. Ask the members of the church to give $25 and then ask the church to give $500. If they can't do that, they need to close their doors. But we don't do that. We just complain, well, we don't give and we need to do this and the government won't do that, when we could do a lot of things for ourselves. J.R. Smith, who was a basketball player, said he spent $60,000 a night in strip clubs. Now, how many of them are actually doing that? But they don't even know what to do. Some of those kids are so young, they don't even know what to do with the money. And I believe that many of them, before they throw all of that money away, would give to a worthy cause that they knew about, if somebody would ask. So we have not because we ask not. We have our own infrastructure. We just need to support it and stop chasing whiteness. I just wish that one time when a blow like this has been dealt to black people, or what many perceive as a blow, I wish that we could respond with strength. The strength as in, well, we know we were thinking about not going to Harvard anymore anyway, because we're going to build up our own schools. And then talk about a plan that we have to build up HBCUs. And this will be a good time to name drop about some of these wealthy donors who have not transferred their wealth into the white community. See, that becomes back a problem for us. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, gave away $1.7 billion, and several millions of those dollars went to HBCUs. She gave away that money, and the very manosphere, these black guys, these Negroes in the manosphere, were complaining because she got half of his wealth that he has doubled since he divorced her. But that's what they were complaining about. But she took her money and gave it to worthy causes, many of which were HBCUs. Oprah Winfrey, one of the black celebrities that so many black people want to beat up on now for whatever reason, has put millions of dollars into the black community, including HBCUs. And there are others who have done an outstanding job. But I believe that there are others who would do more if they knew about the HBCUs. Many black people have made money outside of the HBCU system. And yes, I give back to my HBCU. And please don't come on this page telling me they can do what they want to with their money. It goes without saying they can do what they want to with their money. But if they care about the black community and they have money, rather than giving it all back to the white man through these white women, they could give a little bit of it to black causes. There's enough black people invested in the black community to get things done. I wish we would learn to come across as being strong, that we have other options. That's their decision. We respect their decision. And for the black students who really want to go to Harvard, they can write the essay, find out what the requirements are, prepare for it, start preparing for it when they're in the 8th or 9th grade. Harvard was designed for wealthy white students. It was not designed for poor people of any race. And this whole testing thing was thrown in to keep black people out after they passed affirmative action. It was never designed for poor people. But now that the genie is out of the bottle and they have to make some modifications, including accepting a diverse demographic of students into their program, well, yeah, black students can come, write the essay telling how your life has been affected by blackness, have an impressive GPA, and have a long list of extracurricular activities that you engaged in as a high school student. And we know nothing is going to change. I said that in my other video, and pretty much that's what Harvard is saying. We're not going to change anything. We're going to continue doing what we're doing. And other colleges are revising their program to fit their needs. I don't understand how we can't ever look into a situation and say, okay, that's what you're going to do. This is what we're going to do. But we have such a history of begging for acceptance that I don't think we know how to do. I don't think some of us know how to do anything different. But I wish sometimes they would turn Harvard down, because Harvard is the same school that has those pictures of those enslaved people. It's a picture of an enslaved man and his daughter, and then they've got separate pictures of them. They were photographed in South Carolina in March of 1850. They were forced to take their clothes off, so they were photographed naked. A professor at Harvard commissioned those pictures, and they have held on to them since the 1850s. This man's descendant, Tamara Lanier, brought a lawsuit against Harvard trying to recover those pictures of her ancestors. She stated correctly that the pictures were humiliating and that they were exploiting her ancestors. But the judge ruled against her, saying that the pictures belonged to Harvard. So Harvard is still in possession of those pictures, and they're making money off the pictures. In a 2017 conference, they used this man's likeness. They also charge a large licensing fee for anybody who wants to reproduce the image. And they have a book out called From Site to Site. It sells for $40, and they've got him on the cover. So they're still making money off the enslaved people. We don't need to be begging them. And as far as the University of North Carolina is concerned, the University of North Carolina is one of the few universities in the United States that has apologized for their involvement in slavery. And they have a large population of black students relative to their numbers in the state, and they're going to continue to have a large population, not only at Chapel Hill, but all over the state. Black Americans have many options in the United States, many opportunities to succeed. And then I really wish that we had some serious leadership on the national level, so that every time something happens, they don't start crying about, oh, look what they did to black people. But hopefully all of our students won't even want to go to Harvard. Hopefully black students will rethink this whole thing about running to these schools and having people constantly trying to undermine them. Hopefully they will go to schools where they can thrive and flourish and get a really good education based on the curriculum of that school and their own interests. That is what I hope for our students. What say you? Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.